Chase and I have known each other for probably going on 6 years or so. He actually headed up a huge e-com meetup here in Columbus. And I think at the peak, it was doing like 100 people. It was big. And COVID took over the world, of course. And then he never really started it back up. We had lunch about 2 months ago. And I was like, why didn't you start it back up? And he's like, it's mostly tire kickers. So it wasn't really something we wanted to continue doing. And so that actually convinced Jordan and I not to do it. So we're like, we were going to take it over, but then it was just like, no, we don't want to take it over anymore. But we got to talking at that lunch. He mentioned that he has a great presentation on why Amazon sellers fail on Shopify. And so I was like, that would be great for our community. So I'd love for you to come in, talk about it. So Chase, fill in some gaps there.
Absolutely. It's nice to meet everybody. I just moved literally last week, and this is the first presentation I've done from my new spot. So if it's echoey or sounds weird, I apologize. I haven't got the room soundproofed yet, but it's nice to meet everyone. As Travis said, I'm here in Columbus, Ohio, but we work with brands all over the United States. We are mostly only working with brands that are using Shopify to drive their direct-to-consumer revenue specifically, and mostly it's their priority. We've been getting more into working with Amazon brands as they try to kind of de-risk their business, but the majority of our businesses were like Shopify first, and Shopify forward is how they would probably choose to identify. And what we're doing for these brands is more on the design and UX side of things, and development plays into that as well. You can't design something without developing it, right? So we're not really doing much marketing or advertising for these brands. We have opinions on all that stuff, but we kind of just, it's more the front end, the UX, the user experience, and then getting more into the nerdy stuff with conversion rate optimization. And just at the end of the day, how do we raise the average order value? How do we raise the conversion rate? How do we make more sales from the same amount of traffic? Those are the things that we like to kind of scratch our brains about and figure out for our clients. So that's what we're doing day in and day out for a lot of brands. But from that, and from knowing Travis and just other people in the ecosystem, I also have a podcast. So I've done this quite a bit, and I've been on a few podcasts that have a more Amazon centric audience. And it always gets into the pros and cons of Shopify versus Amazon or something like that. So I have a lot of opinions about that. I wouldn't say that I necessarily have like a presentation per se where I'm going to just like read a book report to you guys. And I would love for any interaction in the chat or whatever, and stop. We can have a discussion with any of this stuff, but we can really get into why people start on Amazon versus start on Shopify, what the pros and cons of each are, what the biggest differences are. And then the nice title of this is why most Amazon brands fail. We'll get to that in a second. All right. So let's just do this. If I was going to start a brand right now, if I was going to test an idea, I would launch it 1,000,000% on Amazon. I would not launch it on Shopify to start it, because the velocity of finding people that would like to buy something and finding product market fit, you can do that on Amazon so much easier than you can on Shopify. And that almost kind of is a precursor to why people then fail on Shopify. So these days, I would start something on Amazon. If I was going to really give it my all, I would probably do it under a different brand name, but with the same features and benefits to test the product, to find the copy that sells. And then I would probably move all my resources into building my owned audience on my own platform, just because while I'm sure a lot of you Amazon sellers know a lot better than me, there are just a lot more fees, and it's a little more risky to have all your eggs in the Amazon basket these days. But that's kind of how I would do it. So I think the hardest part about all of this in building a business is finding that product market fit. And it's also a hard thing to quantify. And so the way I like to really explain it to people is when you are getting sales from strangers on the internet, right? So let's pretend that we built this thing out on our own experience, like a Shopify store, a .com, right? We throw up this awesome product. In your gut, it's a winner, and nothing happens on Shopify. And the reason being is there's no traffic going there. Whereas if you did that same amount of work and you put it on Amazon, Amazon's got so many buyers that will see that product and potentially purchase it from you. And you're not in essence paying for that traffic. You can with paid ads and all that stuff. And that's a little more advanced to Amazon, but just the browsing and seeing your product on Amazon, you're getting a lot more velocity of eyes, and you're going to start to get sales if you do have a winning product on there. So if you're an Amazon seller, I would say, and you're doing over like $1 million a year, maybe it's time to start looking at de-risking your portfolio and like building out a Shopify store. And what usually happens, Amazon is to an extent, if you're doing over $1 million a year, you probably know the platform pretty well, and you probably did most of the stuff yourself. You might have had some consultants along the way, but that usually they just jump in and they try to do the same thing on Shopify. They find a theme they like, they build the thing out, they think it looks good, they press go, and it's crickets. There's nothing happening, and they get frustrated with it. And then the exact quote is, "We tried that, it didn't work," is usually what happens when we talk to these brands. And I go, "Okay, well, what did you try?" And they're like, "Well, we built a store and it didn't get sales." And I was like, "Okay, well, did you send any traffic there? Like, how did you expect get those sales?" And that's the name of the title here. That's usually the biggest disconnect. There just is going to be no traffic to your store compared to what you're experiencing with your Amazon store. So that's kind of the broad strokes of it, but we can get a little kind of more niche, right? Is it a good idea to build a Shopify store for your Amazon business? Let's talk about kind of like product types. Let's talk about like price points. Let's talk about types of products, right? I think that if you've got something more on the luxury side, that's more of a branded product, building your own experience on something like Shopify is a fantastic idea. Now, if it's more commoditized, blank t-shirt that's comfortable or like a deodorant, it might be a little harder to stand out when you're trying to build your own kind of brand on Shopify if you built that thing on the back of Amazon's velocity. And the reason being is Amazon loves commodity just like Google Shopping loves commodity, but there's a lot of competitors in the space and it's kind of a race to the bottom for margins. And with a low AOV product, like more commoditized things like a t-shirt, or you're going to have a lot harder time with paid acquisition. And a friend of mine in the space that does a lot of paid acquisition, like he'll look at accounts and if their AOV is under $75, he just won't like pursue that any further. He's like, "You've got a failing business," is almost what he says. He's like, if you're trying to break this with paid acquisition as your main channel, and it's below $75, like you're going to have a really hard time with using Facebook and Google to really do it. So back to what I was saying here is if your product is more luxury, more branded, it's usually going to have a higher price point. That makes a little bit more sense to invest heavy, like your owned platform, like a Shopify, to try to de-risk it off Amazon. Brands with low margins and those low AOVs, then I might say like, yeah, you tried it and it probably worked out too well. Another type of business that I see is very successful on Amazon that might not really work too well on like your owned experience would be like resellers, or like think of like almost like digital malls per se, like where you're reselling other people's products. So it isn't even your own brand at all. It's like you've got a great resource to get secondhand or old stock or whatnot. Like it probably makes no sense to build out your own experience there where you're going to get the velocity from the Amazon and the eBay to really kind of sell that stuff. When you are building a cool, unique brand, I would say furniture could go both ways. Amazon could do great velocity there versus, Shopify, you'd get better margins. But with those higher price point products on an owned experience, you're going to have to understand you're going to be paying more to acquire those customers. There's almost a direct correlation between price point and acquisition cost when you're building your own experience. So that's just something to consider there. Another thing that I always see that's goofy between Amazon brands and then when they try to make the transition to Shopify is you'll have these businesses, and on Amazon, it almost kind of doesn't matter. You can sell t-shirts and deodorant and like funky socks and blenders all in one store, and it doesn't matter. But if you do that on like a Shopify store, people are going to be like, what the hell is this brand? Like, I don't need a blender with my socks. This doesn't make any sense. And people are just like pushing their whole catalog over to their own .com. The goal is to get a better margin. But if you think about it from your potential customer's perspective, this looks like an internet bodega, and like your trust is just like gone to nothing. So in that essence, like I wouldn't say it's not a good idea. I would say be specific about what you're trying to bring over. If it's, you do have your own branded product within the assortment that you're selling on Amazon, maybe you just focus on that one vertical to build out your funnel to sell this one product a lot better, direct consumer through your own experience versus just your Amazon channel there.
Hey, it's Dr. Travis Ziegler, and I wanted to thank you for watching this video. I just wanted to take a brief couple seconds to let you know about a free Amazon PPC Masterclass that I have. Just head to profitablepineapple.com to sign up for that free Amazon PPC Masterclass, or you can click the link down below in the description. I'll see you inside.
Another thing to kind of think about here is when you've got like your flagship product on Amazon, like just an 80-20 rule. If you've got one product that's crushing it on Amazon, maybe you just focus on that one product, and then that makes your life just so much easier building your own store out, because then it's just one funnel. You've got your 2 to 3 marketing activities at the top of the funnel to drive awareness. You've got your remarketing in the middle through email and retargeting. And at the bottom, you're doing some like, more aggressive stuff. And it's all the same thing that you can work on as far as like optimization and messaging and marketing within that, versus trying to do too many things at once. And what I mean was, I'll oftentimes interact with businesses where they want to test things, but they're going around and they'll try to do 5 different websites at once for 5 different brands, and their energy and marketing spend is so chaotic that all of them fail, and then they kind of it doesn't seem like a good idea anymore. So I always try to like tell people to simplify and focus, and it's like, just pick the best one, do 2 to 3 marketing activities on that, and really invest the time and energy into doing it the right way. And this goes a bit more deeper into like Shopify, and like I'll see often within paid on Shopify, when people are trying to like drive more traffic to their business and retargeting, they'll split like a pretty mediocre budget. Like, yeah, we're spending on ads $10K a month. And I'm like, oh, that's great. They're like, between TikTok, Amazon, now they're spending $1,000 on 10 different channels. When I'm like, well, the only one that's making you any money here is Google Shopping. Like, why don't you just put it all into that? What they do, they try different things instead of maximizing channels that are actually working. And that's goes beyond just this talk, right? That's just something that I find all the time is people want to make their business better, but oftentimes it's doubling down on what's working is always the correct answer, as opposed to trying something new.
I would like to add, Chase and I did not talk before this call about what we were going to talk about, other than the why Amazon sellers fail on Shopify. And pretty much everything Chase just said is pretty much everything that I always talk about here in this community and what we always talk about. 80-20 rule, focus on branding, focus on product market fit, building that audience, and just focusing and doubling down on what is actually working and going all in on that. And
yeah, I tell you guys right now, he did not prep me with any notes. I'm going off an old talk that was transcribed, and I'm doing a shitty job of putting it into this format.
No, I think it's great, because I don't even know if you know my story, Chase, but we built our Amazon presence up to about $3.8 million a year. And we didn't focus on Shopify, but everybody's like, you got to diversify, you got to get off Amazon. And so we took the following year after doing that 3.8 to focus on Shopify. And so what it did is we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Facebook ads, an agency to help build our website, an agency to help with Facebook ads. And we went down 20% in revenue the next year to 3.2 million. And we had $0 in profit. And so it was a eye-opening for me. Our Shopify store before we hired them was doing around 300,000 a year. And that was just based on organic traffic that was coming from just selling more products on Amazon. And so then what we did is we took our focus off Shopify. We got rid of that agency. We got rid of that website builder. And we were like, let's just put this all back onto Amazon. And the following year, we went 3.2 to 4, 1 million of that being on Shopify. And our EBITDA went from 0 to 600,000. And so doubling down on what's actually working for you is so effective, especially if you're focusing on profit. And if you want an exit, EBITDA is the name of the game. EBITDA is the most important thing to look at. So that's our story about focusing on Shopify. Now, when we sold, we were doing just under $1 million on Shopify, but it was a result of focusing on Amazon and branding and higher end products, everything you just talked about. And when you have a higher end product that's not commoditized, that's great value, that's differentiated in some way, you have more marketing dollars to work with. And so I can't emphasize that point as much. So everything you just talked about, it was great, because it's like, I swear I didn't tell him what to say.
I mean, I think it's probably like at the 12th business book mark, you realize that it's all the same stuff, just like in different words.
It's true. It's true.
Awesome. So, I mean, I was almost like your jump into that was basically at the end of what I kind of really had prepared here to talk on, but I can dive into any of those things a lot more deeper. And I'd love any questions. If you don't want to speak up, just pump it into the chat. I've got that window open right now. Chris has got a question here. What would you say to those individuals that feel Amazon is too saturated and there's always someone cheaper on Amazon? I'm going to caveat here, like, I'm not an Amazon expert by any means. I have opinions on everything. That's what I tell our clients or leads or prospects, whatever. But if someone is asking me something for Amazon specifically, I'd refer it off, to Travis or someone else in my ecosystem. But to give you an answer and not cop out there's always a cheaper option, but people don't buy. There are price buyers, but there are people that buy on value. So you just got to think about the positioning of your product versus the problem that it's solving. What's funny, and this is something I just learned about, is there is an engine degreaser on the market that is dirt cheap if you buy it at Costco, right? But it's the same active ingredient as like one of the most expensive lawn fertilizers. And it's just about positioning. So people are buying this fertilizer that's an engine degreaser at Costco right now that does the exact same thing. I could look up exactly what it was, but it's just that it's the same exact product, just a different package and a different value proposition. And that's like what separates the price point. So it's not necessarily cheaper.
Yeah. And think about our first product that we ever came out with. The reason we came out with it was because our competitor was the only one on the market, and they changed their $30 a month to $300 a month. What changed in their product? Absolutely nothing. And they just changed the price, which pissed off a lot of people. And those people came to me and said, can you fix this? And that's when we came out with our first product. And it's a consumable, and we could market all the way to $15 a month. And so people that were price conscious, which we knew that space really well, and it was people that are very price sensitive, we came in with a very, very low price, captured a lot of those people that were going after that product or using that product. And they switched over to ours. And then what we did is we slowly increased the price. We didn't 10x it from 30 to 300, but eventually we got it up to around $22. And that gave us enough margin because this product only cost us $2. And so it was a high margin product, but then led to them liking our brand. And then they could expand to our other product line as a result. And so, like you talked about earlier, focusing on that one hero product that's making most of your sales, moving that over to Shopify, and then focusing the funnel around that one thing is huge, because when we're presented with choices, we tend to just kind of choose none. And so if you focus it around one choice, and either they're going to like it or not, buy it or not, then it makes it a lot easier for you. And that's what we're trying to do with the agency, is we're trying to slim down the choices that you have to interact with us to one core offer, either being the free Amazon PPC Masterclass or working with us. And those are the two core offers. And we're trying to like kind of put everything else on the back burner away from the website and on different pages, so different funnels.
I mean, it's a little inside baseball between me and Travis, but we're down to two offers as well. And it's, you're growing on retainer, we're building a new website. We don't do anything different. We don't do any scoping on anything anymore. But to your point and to your price point, especially, I do want to drill in a little bit there. I think that if I knew going in that my price point was going to be at that $20-ish range, I would definitely probably launch on Amazon to start with, because the cost per acquisition to build that on Shopify, you'd be spending tens of thousands of dollars to get it to the point where you had your ads drilled in, and you'd be breaking even for a lot of months to build up that kind of flywheel. But knowing that your product was a commodity, then the lifetime value goes up. Then it just goes to an owner's like risk, what their appetite for risk is. And if they're willing to pay to break even on their first customer to make it back on the second or third sale, and kind of, you know, where they draw the limit on kind of how much they're willing to invest in the growth in that perspective. So when we're talking about those commoditized, lower average order value products on Shopify, my mind immediately goes to, how do we turn this into a subscription model where we know we're going to capitalize on those recurring purchases in a more predictable manner?
All right. Randy asks, is there a specific Shopify model that you're seeing work well with products? Are you seeing single page, long form work better, or just like a normal site?
Yeah, that's a great question. It tests everything. That's a cop out as well. But I would say, just if you were going to make the switch, right, unless you're doing 8 figures on your Amazon store, like, don't invest in a custom theme. Go and use one. All right. First, you're going to buy a theme from the Shopify theme marketplace, right? Because it's extremely hard to get in there. I know, we were working on getting one in there. It is well vetted. All the code that's under all these themes is up to date. It's very modern. It's very modular. It's very easy to use. You can either use that out of its box, put in your assets, like that's what you want to do, or you can use that as your starting point to customize it a little bit more if you've got a little bit more money to play around with and you truly feel that you need to like elevate the design, because that's just what your brand is. So utilizing one of these out of the box themes, they all kind of are going to, I guess, to your point, Randy, be kind of like a normal website, right? Shopify and the way the CMS works, you've got like 14 different pages that are just basic of every store. And all of these themes will have templates for each of those pages. Something I see a lot of, I'm going to go down some rabbit holes here. Something I see happen a lot of times with brands that do this themselves, coming from the Amazon side of things, is they do not do like, they don't put any time into the about page. They don't put any time into the contact page. They don't swap out any of like the placeholder content. They don't spend time on shipping policies, the FAQs, the terms and conditions. Like all of those things matter to someone that's actually going to buy from you, because Amazon has trust. I know if you fuck my shipping, I can just press they screwed it up and I get all my money back, right? Because that's what Amazon's giving you, is that trust. Now, if I'm buying from Travis.com, I don't have that trust right now. So I need to find all that information on your website. And conversion rate optimization comes down to literally your customers have fears, uncertainties, and doubts about purchasing your product. And you need to answer all of those questions on your website to make it easier for them to believe that the value proposition you're putting in front of them is actually going to come true when they press submit and give you money. But back to the question, single page will work if you have like one product. It's a little harder to hack Shopify into a single page website though. So I would just say like, it's not necessary. I would say like, just use the normal theme the way it's supposed to work, make it look great. You can build out a specific landing page to your offer to do a bit more split testing. If you're going to allocate some more funds into like sending paid traffic here, having some cool, I like split testing. I like doing CRO. So that stuff's fun to me. So I would like build out a normal site and then have your kind of offer that you're going to be testing be a landing page. I would say build that out like with someone that knows actually how to develop it within Shopify. And Google Optimize is sunsetting in a couple months. There's a cool app out there called Shoplift that will allow you to do split testing natively within the Shopify customizer. So if this is something that you like to do, kind of do it all yourself that way. But you don't necessarily need a landing page either. You can send it to the product page and you'll get decent results as long as you're listening to your customers and actually adding all that information.
What we did is we would split test, just the basic website theme that we have install. And then we use Zipify Pages as the app to build custom landing pages similar to like a ClickFunnels, and then build this like post-purchase upsell sequence as well after they purchase. So it's all about testing and seeing what works best for you. And that is a cop-out answer, like you said, but that's the name of this game, is split testing and really focusing on, like you said, eliminating that FUD. Chris asks, you mentioned how people fail on Shopify. How or where do they succeed on Shopify?
Yeah, I would say, okay, so I'm going to take the perspective that they have a successful business on Amazon already. So they don't need to focus on product market fit. They know their customers are out there. They know they have a winning product. So I'm going to assume they're doing, somewhere between the $1 and $10 million a year. That's a successful brand on Amazon. So where they succeed is they don't try to DIY it. Amazon is a completely different monster than Shopify is. Obviously, that sounds like selfish because I'm a Shopify consultant, but like when I talk to 10-figure brands, they have a head of e-commerce and they have a head of Amazon. It's a head of Shopify, and because they're completely different ways you approach it, and they're completely different skill sets. That's the nuance of the Shopify ecosystem and how to solve for your particular kind of needs of your customer is going to be completely different than how you do it on Amazon. So they usually have someone to help them out. Either they hire it in-house or they hire an agency or whatnot, and they get it done fast the right way the first time. They build out all their retargeting stuff correctly. They use email automation to do a lot of the heavy lifting, and then they invest in paid acquisition to drive traffic to this new website. They don't just rely on, trickle down overflow from kind of the awareness of their brand on Amazon. Even though it worked for Travis, surprisingly enough, I would say people are investing a lot more into paid these days to drive traffic to their own store. And
it worked because we were conscious about it, because on our packaging, we had calls to action to get them back over to our website. Either the typical extended warranty, which is crap, or what we did towards the end is, this was to build our audience as well. We would put a QR code on our packaging or on an insert that said, scan here to get 7 free eyelid wipes, because we knew if you bought any of these products, you'd love our eyelid wipes. And when they scan that, they'd go to a landing page on our Shopify store, input their email address, and then it would say, thank you for your interest in our eyelid wipes. Check your email right away because we need one more thing. They would then go over to their email. The email in the inbox would say, hey, thanks for your interest. We need your address so we know where to send it to. And so then they'd send us a reply back with their address. We had our customer service rep. She'd put in 7 free eyelid wipes into an envelope, handwrite it, 4 stamps, out the door. That did a couple things. It took Amazon visitors over to our website. So then we got a pixel. We got their email address. So then we can market them to wherever we want to. It got a reply back on our first automated email, which then increases the odds of us going in the inbox. And then they got another product in their hand, which is 7 free eyelid wipes. So we were very conscious about how we got people back to the website. It wasn't just like we sold a bunch on Amazon and people started finding our website. It wasn't that at all. And it was very a conscious effort of getting people a call to action from Amazon over to our website. But here's the big difference. We tried to always push sales to Amazon. And that was because we wanted to rank for keywords. But as a result, some people hate Amazon. They just wanted to stay on Shopify and order from us on there. And so you just have to be mindful about how this whole ecosystem works. Don't just throw up Shopify and say, work, Shopify, work. And then like nothing happens and you're disappointed. I mean, our website was getting no traffic for years, but it just starts to happen when you start consciously thinking about ways that you can get people to interact with that website.
Yeah. And this is going to be a lot of my ignorance with Amazon, but like, I know that there are right ways and wrong ways to drive people to your website and how, and what you can and can't do without making Amazon mad at you. That's something that I would definitely be like, I don't know if you can do some of these things, but what you were saying there made me think of there's an app out there that you do automated postcards that are handwritten that integrates directly within your Shopify store. And I'm sure there's a way to use that in a semi-prospecting way with people that have bought from you from Amazon to start to, do kind of the system that you had built out.
We did the postcards, but we didn't do it with people that we were trying to get from Amazon. It was mostly just our buyers on Shopify. Mm-hmm. We'd do postcards for like sales. We'd do postcards for thank you. If they were repeat purchasers, high purchase value, we'd usually send them out like a little bonus code and like say, hey, we just want to say we appreciate you. Here's a free XYZ on your next purchase if you do purchase, or claim your free XYZ by using this code, things like that.
Now, were you guys spending anything on paid towards the end of your, like before you sold it?
So that one year we spent a lot. I think we spent close to $500,000 that year on paid advertising, which hurt a lot. And then after that, we were spending anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000 a month. And it was mostly remarketing. So people that had purchased from us before, people that have been on the website before. And that was it. I mean, we got a lot of people on our blogs. A lot of the listeners or people on this call know my blogging strategy. And my blogging strategy is focused around the problem that your product solves and then send traffic to that blog around that problem. And then you get that pixel. And so that's where we got a big remarketing and retargeting audience, is from people that had visited the blog, because I knew they had the problem that our product specifically addresses. And our product was brought up in that article. So then we just retarget them to either come back to the blog or come back to that product or go buy the product on Amazon.
Okay. So you're spending a couple grand a month on retargeting specifically. So not much prospecting, but you were getting new eyes through your blogging strategy. And convoluted is the wrong word, but like through this Amazon kind of manual retargeting strategy. Did you ever do anything with influencers, or was that not much a big thing when you were doing it?
We tried, but we had an influencer that had 850,000 subscribers on YouTube and got so many views and interactions, and like it just didn't send that much traffic because we gave him a 30% affiliate commission and everything and still didn't send that many sales.
I think so. That's something these days, I know a big strategy, and this is something I see a lot of people doing when they're going from 0 to 1, building it out on Shopify first, going brand first that way, is this like influencer seeding strategy, which is a pretty way of saying you're going to send out 100 free products and hope for the best. And it does tend to work. It really depends on what your product is and how well you kind of curated this list of people that you want to send these things to. A friend of mine talks a lot about this strategy, but it's basically, you make a list of 500 people, to email them all like a no strings attached offer to just give them a free thing. 100 will say sure, and like a third of those, like 33% of them will post about it out of the goodness of their heart because they actually like the product. And from there, you're going to get traffic. Then you need to retarget that traffic appropriately with paid strategies, but that only works at a certain price point, obviously.
And it only takes one person. It only takes one influencer to post to make your product hit. And so a lot of people will try this for like 10 influencers and nothing happens because they did it transactionally. But when you form a relationship with the influencers, that's when it makes a big difference. And so that's what we're working on for our second brand. Is Alex is working on relationships, multiple influencers, to the point that we may give them equity based on how engaged their followers and how many people they send to us. And we're going to have this list of influencers, anywhere between 10 and 25 people that we've been engaging with, that when we go live with this product, we're going to send it to course, and they're going to post about it, and we're hopefully going to sell out right away as a result of just forming this relationship with them. So don't make it transactional, but I loved what you said there. Reach out to 500, 100 are going to respond back, and then maybe 5 to 10 are going to post, but it's just one person. If you get one person to post and it gets heavy engagement and even goes viral, that's all you need. And so influencers is a hard strategy. That's why a lot of people don't do it the correct way, but it pays off if you actually get it pay off.
Yeah, just cold outreach in general is such a hard thing. And I don't know if you guys have been BDRs for a big tech company, business development representative. Basically what you're doing is you annoy people until they respond for a meeting. Cold outreach in a nutshell. And it's a numbers game at the end of the day. Have a good offer, believe in your product, and just keep doing it.
Yep. And John asks, how are the results with the postcards? Postcards are actually a pretty high ROI, believe it or not, because postcards are only like 50 cents to send out because they're very cheap. And as long as you have a call to action on them is the key thing. And so ROIs on postcards can be anywhere from 5 to 10. Same thing with like SMS text messaging. Those are like the two most effective high ROI things that you can do for your e-commerce brand, and you'll get huge results. And that was another thing is we were doing a lot with text message marketing, and that was helping out quite a bit because we had a list of about 7,000 text messages.
And now we're getting into kind of like the differences between Amazon and Shopify and what you can do with owning your customer versus renting your customer from Amazon is how I've seen it described a little bit. There are ways to do it, but I'm saying you're not supposed to get the email from Amazon. You're not supposed to get the phone number from Amazon, right? So you need to find creative ways to get those a different way.
And legal.
Yes, and legal ways. That was implied. Now with Shopify, if you are sending the traffic there and you do the sale, you get most of the time that box is checked and you're getting access to that data just from the normal purchase. And that allows you to remarket these people through paid ads, through email, through SMS, through push notifications, activate them through memberships, like all of that stuff at a way lower cost per metric than doing it on Amazon. Advantageous to do that, especially if you've got a product where you know it can work by, let's be real, you see other brands out there in the same space doing it well on Shopify or something similar. I say Shopify when I just mean like an owned.com. Shopify is the best, let's be real, but like you can do this on WordPress or on BigCommerce or something else if you just like headaches. I don't know. But yeah, I believe if you have a product that's winning and you've tested it through Amazon and you see competitors out there that are doing it on Shopify, it won't be too hard to figure out how they're producing the results that you want and just following their playbook.
Hey, I wanted to thank you for watching this video, and I picked out another video just for you. So make sure you check out that other video. And what do they need to do? Do they need to like and subscribe?
Yeah.
Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. What do you think?